Thank you. So I do want to say, because this is something this is not in Ruth. Oh, I forgot to put verses up there, man. I've been just kind of, whatever. It is what it is. So when you think about, what do y'all think about the service on tithing?
On point.
On point. We don't like to hear it, right? That is an objective way that you can show that you are serving God. But what I want to say about that, and this is now, so this can hit different people. Some people, and this is, for me, when I became a Christian, right, years ago, tithing was just something that I said, that is just something that I'm just going to do, right? And I've just tried to increase that over the years, but that was not a hard thing for me to do. I don't know why that wasn't a hard thing for me to do. I know that it's a hard thing for people to do, but what I want to challenge you with is that, because giving money sometimes is an easy thing for people to do. People that have money, that's an easy thing to do sometimes. And I say, well, I can give my 10% and I've done my duty and I've done my thing. When you can look at your checkbook and you can see, yes, I am serving God in that aspect. When you look at a tithe, right, you're looking at 10% of everything, right? So you're looking at 10% of what you're doing. So I want to challenge you. It's not just about writing a check. We need to do that. We're called to do that. That is what the Bible tells us to do. You look at your time and you look at the amount of time that you're spending. Am I spending, 10+% of my time reading the Word of God? Am I spending 10+% of my time serving? Am I spending in prayer? Am I doing more than just tithing? Does that make sense? Because, and I'm just telling you, because for me, writing a check and, I'm done. And I know a lot of people that they say, well, I'm doing my thing because I'm giving my money. That is a call that you're supposed to do and you're called to do, but it is more about, man, your heart. Man, what else am I doing when I look at my time and I'm breaking down everything in my life? Am I giving 10% plus of my life to the Lord? That's an easy ask. Huh?
In time, because you used to say, I don't have time for that.
I don't, and let me tell you what, man, I've got a lot on my plate. I've got a lot, but man, when the Lord laid something else on my heart that I need to do, and I'm like, Lord, I really just don't have any. And it's like, man, get a bigger plate, man, and take off some of this stuff of the world and some of this stuff that you're doing and fill it with what God tells you to do. I'm filling my stuff with the world. I'm sitting down watching TV, or I'm sitting down doing this, or whatever it is, it's a challenge to you. It's not just about the money. It's about, what am I doing for the Lord? Because, right. And that's hard to hear, man, but that's just where we're at. Okay. So that was just kind of what I took from that today. And we do not have a church that talks about finances a lot. We don't have a pastor that preaches on tithing and giving. And I've been to churches every week. They're preaching on that. We don't have that. I mean, and that is just our pastor. Just he knows, man. He trusts God. So anyway,
it don't have to go to the church.
Right.
it doesn't have to go to the church.
If you feel you're giving too much to the church, give it to everybody else.
Right. Yep. And I love that. It's that don't give it to me, man. If you feel like I'm just calling you to give it to the church and to do, I think that we should give it to our church, man. But if you're not, then don't give it, because if you're doing it just because you're doing it out of an obligation, it's about your heart, right? So
Preachers that think that's all they want.
Oh man.
Money, but Smith has the faith to know the church is going to go on without.
Sure.
Jesus will make it happen. He'll make it happen regardless if you're giving all your money to
Right.
the church or if you're splitting it.
Right.
It's like,
It's not your money.
Right.
It's not your money. And I'm telling you, anybody you ask that goes and they give to the Lord, that you look back on your life and you say, how am I making it? I don't know how I'm making it, but giving to the Lord, he always cannot outgive God. You can't outgive God with your time. You can't outgive God with your money. You can't outgive God with your service. Man, you cannot outgive God. He will flood your life. Okay? Already has. He gave us everything, right? Yep, tithing is part. So that's for free this morning. So let's get back into Ruth. Here we go, man. I'm trying to, here we go. We've been in Ruth several months. We are in chapter 2. So what I'm going to do, I don't really remember exactly where I was. So I'm going to give a little recap, but I think we're gonna,
Back on chapter.
no, we're in chapter 2. Chapter 2 of Ruth, okay? And here we are. Now, all right, let's focus in. We'll get quicker now. This heckling corner over here, we don't need this. That's not, okay. So as we look at this, and thank you for Dawn, and thank you for Chris, and thank you for people that are willing to step up and serve. I'm very thankful for that. That we have people that are willing to step in and do what, Rodney's coming. He's coming. Yep, he is. Okay, so recap. As we look at Ruth and they're in Bethlehem, and as you are in chapter 2, they have a tough deal. Widows, broke. Man, Ruth is a foreigner. She's having a tough time. And I want to just read this and then we're going to talk about this. And we probably won't get too far today, which give me on that. Please, in verse 2, please let me go to the field and glean heads of grain after him in whose sight I might find favor. So as we look at Ruth, do you think that Ruth necessarily wanted to go into the field as a beggar to glean in the field and do that? Was that something that she was in a situation that she necessarily wanted to do? Probably not, man, right? I mean, that was a humbling experience for her. But she is saying to Naomi, please let me go and do that. And this is, are we making a choice? This is a choice that she has made. She's in a bad situation. She's in a tough time. And she's saying, look, I am going to make a choice. Even if I don't want to do it, I'm making a choice to go serve. She's serving Naomi. And what did she say to Naomi? She said, look, I'm going where your God is. Your God's going to be my God. I'm going to follow you. I'm making a choice to serve. And it was so interesting, man. And this, just the way it is, but as I'm studying this and I'm saying, yeah, God, I want to make a choice to serve you. And, we serve when things are good and we have a better attitude. And then I turn on my water and then it starts blowing air and blowing and I'm like, and I have no water. And I'm like, and this is just as I'm going into my office, study on making a choice. Are you going to make a choice to serve God even when things don't go your way? That's hard to do, right? And I went down and I started thinking about this and I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter really what happens in our life. We're going to be in good times. We're going to be in rough times. We're going to have hard times. Man, it is a choice to serve. It is a choice that I'm making, an active choice. And so I'm thinking over here as we look at this, and we're going to go to Joshua 24. And this is one of my favorite places to go. And we're going to talk about this for a minute. And then we're going to get into, like I say, we're not going to get too far today, but you listen, man, that's just what we do, right? That's just what we do. Joshua 24. Okay. And we're going to get into verse 14 and as a backdrop to this, Joshua is saying to the people, his people, he's saying, look, man, where this is Joshua's kind of farewell address. You know where you've been. You know where the Lord has brought you out of Egypt. The Lord is, and he's going through here saying he's brought you out. He brought you across the Red Sea. He brought you from the wilderness that they've been in for 40 years, right? And then as they're going along, he's saying, as I brought you into the promised land, man, I dropped out all these people and I killed all these nations and all the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Hivites and the Jebusites. I delivered them into your hand. He said, do you know where I brought you from? You can look at your life and I can say, Lord, where have you brought me from? And I've seen you, man, when I didn't have the ability to do it, man, you brought me through it. And you brought me to this point. And you're looking at Joshua and he's talking to the people and he's saying, you brought me through it. So you get over here to verse 13. And he's saying to them, I've given you a land in which you did not labor, cities which you did not build, you dwell in, you eat vineyards and olive groves which you did not plant. Now think about us in that as we put that into context, right? has the Lord done that for us? I mean, man, do I have to go out here and build the road to get to church today? I mean, I got tar roads. Did I have to go out and hook up the electricity or figure out how to do? No, we have the electricity. I have a grocery store that I can go down the road to. I have all this stuff that the Lord has provided for me. And he's saying to the Israelites, man, look, the Lord has already given you so much. He's given you all this stuff in your hands. And he's saying, now as I'm getting ready to die, you've got to make a choice. And it says in verse 14, now therefore, fear the Lord and serve him. What is serving God? What does it say before it says serve him? Fear the Lord. And what does that look like in our life? What does it look like to fear the Lord? Why am I going to serve him? What does fearing him look like? Respect, reverence, obey, right? Where have we put the Lord in our life? That's a good question, man. Do I fear God? Or is, like the pastor said today, is God my buddy? That, man, hey, Lord, and if I do this, I do it. If I don't do it, I don't do it, because I don't really put you in a position of respect. I think we've gotten that because, look, do kids respect their parents? No. Do we respect authority? No. So when we look at God in our life, do we fear him? Do we reverence him? Do we understand that he can snuff us in a second? Right? And it says, fear the Lord, serve him. As I fear him, I'm going to serve him. Serving him is whatever he is calling you to do in your life, serving him. And it says what? In sincerity and in truth. How do we serve the Lord? Tell me how we serve the Lord. When you look at in sincerity and in truth, what does that mean? Be faithful. Okay.
I think faithful in the small things.
Faithful in the small things that nobody sees.
I think getting out of your comfort zone and when God's calling you to do something, you just do it. You don't ask questions.
Getting out of your comfort zone. Yeah.
Not only do you not ask questions, you don't try to ask, what are you gonna get out of it?
What are you going to get out of it?
Say, I don't have time.
Don't have time. I look at when I think about in sincerity and in truth, man, I'm serving the Lord because I see God in my life. I see what he's done. I see that he gave everything for me, man. And I'm not going to serve you just so people can see me serving you. Right? I serve a lot because I think, well, if I serve and I have this platform, then what am I going to get out of it? And I let my pride get into that and just different things like that, right? Sincerity and in truth is, man, I'm going to serve you, whether it's hard, whether it's easy, whether it's good, whether it's beneficial to me, whether whatever, man, whether if I get persecuted out in the world and I get hammered, man, I'm going to serve you in sincerity and in truth. And it says, and put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the river and in Egypt. Isn't that just what we talked about today? Put aside the gods, put aside the finances, put aside your material, put aside your pride, put aside all that stuff and serve me. And he will give us the desires of our heart. Do we believe that? We believe that. That as I change my mindset and say, God, I want to do what you call me to do, then he's going to give me the desires of my heart. And it says, which your father served on the other side of the river, serve the Lord. And look, and if it seems evil to you, now, somebody tell me what that means? If it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, what does that mean? Undesirable, wrong, unjust. What about inconvenient? About that, man. If it seems evil, Lord, man, don't you know that I have other things that I need to do and you're calling me to do this other stuff? And this is such an inconvenience in my life. I'm not the only one that's done that, right? And I wrote, unreasonable. Lord, really? Man, do you not already know that I go to church and that I'm doing this? I'm reading my Bible every day, man, and it is unreasonable that I need to do anything else to serve you. And that's evil, Lord. Or the world looks at that and they say, man, you Christians are closed-minded. That is you're evil. Serving God is evil. Isn't that what the world tells us? That what you're doing is evil, man. And he says, if it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, and this is where I get this from. choose for yourselves. And I want to say in this, that this is, you know, am I serving, are we serving because of other people? And what I mean by that, like, you know it, if Sharon's not coming to church, or she's doing whatever, and so I say, well, since Sharon's not going, I really don't need to go either. Right? And if Sharon, she feels sick tonight, so I really need to stay home and sit with her and hold her hand and rub her head. Right? I mean, if she did, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying, man, that I can make every excuse on, I've got to choose for myself. And what I want to tell you in this is that when I stand before the Lord, when we stand at the judgment seat of Christ, right? It's not, we're not getting into the two different white throne and judgment seat, man. I'm not getting into that, but when I stand before Christ, is it going to be, well, Lord, I didn't choose you, or I didn't go here, I didn't do this because, I had this other person that I was trying to, I wanted to stay at the house with them, and I wanted to encourage them, and I wanted to try, and my kids were doing this, or does that resonate with anybody? Because how much do we allow other people to influence the way that we serve the Lord? I'm just telling you, let your kids, man, that our kids rule us. Right? My kids, they have all these games, and they have all these things, and they have all this stuff, and I'm gonna take off from church for a month or 2 months because my kids have games, and it's okay to do, but man, if that's a consistent pattern, where are you putting your stuff?
God's not first then.
No, man, when my kids, man, we can't even get into that, man. But I started looking at my kids, and I started thinking, man, my time, my effort, my energy, my stuff is all based on my kids. And my kids have now become my God. And the Lord said to me, man, you're either going to put your kids first, your wife first, or you're going to put me first.
Seems very incompatible with verse 14. That says, "To fear the Lord, serve him with sincerity and truth." And then to think a few verses later, saying, "But if it seems disagreeable."
Yep.
I mean, it's just
they're totally two different things. Two different things. And choose for yourself this day whom you will serve. When are we going to make a decision on who we are going to serve? Man, Lord, I am, regardless of what the world says, regardless of what my finances say, regardless of what my family's doing, man, I am going to serve you.
I think that's a
And
choice that has to be made every day.
It-
It's not, I make
yeah.
it one time and I'm good for life. I
No,
continuously make
every
that
day.
choice. Every day.
Die to self daily. Pick up your cross daily, man. Serve the Lord daily.
I feel like he's trying to say, you all think that you're stepping in and out, and that you can step in and out, but if you're stepping in and out, why don't you just be honest with yourself and
Yeah.
understand you've chosen.
Yeah.
You've not chosen God. That's what he's trying
I'm-
to say is you're not really, what's the old, was it, group Rush? If you choose not to decide, you still have made it.
Oh, that's your choice. That's your choice. I mean, that is your choice, period. We have got to be a body that is choosing to serve the Lord, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of how inconvenient, undesirable, unjust I feel like it is.
Interesting, Jack, because one of the examples of Josh was he said that, right? He was one of the ones that said, "No, let's go."
Oh, yeah.
Right? And everybody else said no, and so nobody else got to go but him. Now here at the end of his life, he's saying again, make the right choice.
Right.
I'm not gonna tell you, I can't tell you again, I'm about to,
He knows he's dying, man. No.
And so he's the steadfast example, and he knows they've got these gods. that
Sure.
are collected as they.
Absolutely.
So it's a testament too.
It's a testament.
It's steadfast.
And, and can people, as people look at Joshua, people look at Moses, and people look at David, and people look at Paul, and look at all these Bible characters, man, and they're saying, look to me to see what that looks like. Can people look to me and say, you know what, man, you've had some hard times in your life. You've had some difficulties. You've had some things go on. You've had people and you are still serving the Lord. and you're still steadfast in that, man. You haven't fallen out, man. That is a testament that, man, when I look at people, I see some people, man, that, you know, you look at John, man, with the things that he's gone through, man, he's here and he's serving, and he's doing, and he's loving, and he's saying, I'm not going to let that stuff hammer me down. We can't do it. There's too much stuff. And even as we get further on, the more that comes, the more the world is going to come against us, and they're going to keep on hammering us and giving us reasons why we can't do what God calls us to do. So he's saying, look, choose for yourselves this day who you will serve. Are you going to serve those things that you used to serve? Are you going to fall back into that pattern when you used to do that? And he's saying, and I love this, man, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. He's saying, look, I am going to follow the Lord. And the things that go on in my house, can I as a parent, man, can I control my kids that are living out in the world? And they're living on their own, they're paying their bill, they're doing their stuff, they're screwing up and doing whatever they're doing, man, right? Can I control that? No, but I can control my house. And listen, in my house, we are gonna get up and go. We are gonna go serve. We're gonna read. We're gonna follow. And if you're coming to my house, then you're gonna get up and go to church. You're gonna do, because this is my house. If you don't like that, right, then go find your own house. Right? I mean, that's and that's tough, huh? I mean, this is, I'm getting up and I'm going, man. We're going to pray. We're going to pray before meals. We're going to do, this is my house and this is what we're going to do. I can't control your house, but you can control your house. And that's what he's saying. Me and my house, we will serve the Lord. That's tough, man. Right? Okay. That's the first that I want to talk about in the recap. So now number 2 in the recap. Okay. Now here we go, man. So, and this is, so I want to just look at this word, and then this is, and she happened, as we're in verse 3, and she happened to come to the part of the field. Ruth is happening to come to the part of the field of Boaz, right? Does that mean that by circumstances that she came there, and just all of a sudden she came there, and it was just by chance that she came there, just by, man, there's nothing that happens by chance. And so what I want to tell you in this is that the things that go on in our life, even, does God cause all the bad stuff in my life, man? And when you look at nothing happens by chance, so that means that God is causing my kids to do what they're doing, or my wife to do what she's doing, or my finances to do what they're doing. Is God causing all that stuff? No, man. God's not causing that, right? Is the devil causing that? Maybe sometimes, maybe sometimes doing that. But what really is the cause of all that stuff that's going on in my life that is happening?
Distraction.
It's how did sin, go ahead, Susan.
I'm sitting here thinking about that. I mean, I spent a lot of time thinking about that, but let's go back to Joshua and Caleb for just a second, because I think it's important to know. So when they suffered the consequences of other people's disobedience.
Yes.
That they
Big
had
time.
to spend 40 years waiting to enter the promised land.
Yes.
Not because of their disobedience,
Nope.
because of the disobedience of the rest of the Israelites.
Yep.
And so that parallels in our lives today, it's like many of the hardships that we face. Some are by our own choosing, our own disobedience, but they're also because of the disobedience of the rest of the world.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And that's exactly what you play into when you look at this chance thing, and nothing happens by chance, right? Nothing. It isn't that the devil necessarily is causing the bad stuff in my life. It's not necessarily God is causing the bad stuff in my life, right? Does God know everything that goes on? Yes. Is God sovereign over everything that goes on? Yes. Did sin enter the world through us? Yes, through Adam, right? And his disobedience allowed the devil to come in. That is what is going on, man. So the things, God knows everything that goes on. God directs everything that God goes on, but we suffer the consequences of the stuff that we've done, the stuff that have gone on in the past, and we are just continuing to suffer those consequences. But by chance, it doesn't happen by chance. God works everything. What does Romans 8:28 tell us? Everything works together for good for those Christians, man, that even in the bad circumstances and the bad things in my life, man, God is working those things for good. And you can look back, I can look back in my life and I can say, man, these things that I thought were horrible things, and I look at them now and I'm saying, that is when God formed me to change into into this. And this next thing that happened, he formed me to change into this. And he is continually using those things in our life to build us up, right? And to grow us in him. And an example of that I'm going to read over here is just Genesis 50, verse 20. Okay, Genesis 50, verse 20. Backdrop to this. You have Joseph, right? And this 50-20 is perfect, man. Joseph thrown into a pit, right? The sin of his brothers threw him into a pit, left him to die, man. He got sold into slavery. He went over there to Potiphar's house and he got accused of adultery or you know, whatever he did in Potiphar's house of raping his wife or trying to rape his wife, got thrown into prison, man, got forgotten in the prison for years. And then was brought out of the prison because of he could interpret dreams. Right? Interpreted dreams, get put to the highest position under Pharaoh in Egypt. Right? What happens is brothers come over because they have no food. They come over and they're standing before him. And he has a chance right there to knock them out, man, and to put them down, and put them in the pit, put them in the prison, put whatever to do, right? But what does he do in Genesis 50 and verse 19? Joseph said to them, this is his brother standing before him, right? Was this by chance that he got put through all the things that he got put through to be at this point? As they're standing before him, he says, don't be afraid. He shows them who he is. Do not be afraid. I am in the place of God, but as for you, you meant evil against me, right? They meant evil against him, man. There's a lot of people, and I think in our life, as you think of the unforgiveness thing, man, how many people in our life they want to see us beat down, and they want to see us fail, man. And even I dare say, even our brothers and sisters want to see us fail a lot of times. They don't want to see your blessings. They don't want to see that, man, the Lord is blessing you. And even as a Christian, we have that pride and, well, why are you being blessed and I'm not being blessed? Man, I'm trying to drive my brothers down, right? And Joseph is in this position. He says, man, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good in order to bring it about to this day to save many people alive. Therefore, do not be afraid. I'll provide for you and your little ones. And he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. I can't say enough of God puts us in situations. And you think about that, even when I'm going through the evil things, he puts me in those situations so that I can be able to deal with people that are going through those situations. Does that make sense? I go through things with my family so that I can deal with family situations that you have, man. I go through addictions in my life so that I can help you deal with addictions in your life, right? All the time we get through that, right? We can relate to people. And that's what he's saying there, man. There's nothing that happens by chance. Ruth is going to Boaz's field, not by chance. She doesn't happen on that field and, oh, this is just a coincidence, man. That's not the way it goes. And then, so we're moving down further in here and you go down to verse 4. Boaz comes from Bethlehem. He is the owner of the field. And he says, the Lord be with you. Right. And they answered him, the Lord bless you. And I think this is probably maybe where we ended last time. And this is just our speech. And I want to read over here in James 3 and 8. What about our speech? How is Boaz speaking to his workers? Respectfully, right? He's not looking down on them. He's lifting them up. He's for them. He's on their side. And they are in turn, how are they speaking back to Boaz? Respectfully, the Lord bless you, man. There's nothing, right? They're not in a competition here. Even though he's ahead of them and he's over them, they're not in a competition. He is speaking to them respectfully, lovingly, upliftingly, right? And so I read over here in James 3, and I just started thinking more about, and this is maybe me, more than some of you, but how do we speak to people? How do we speak to people? How do I speak to people that I don't necessarily care for? Loving kindness. And we talked about this morning, man, that we have to love them first, and then we can speak truth to them. Right? And I get in the gym and you know it, man. I get full of testosterone, I get fired up, and And then I just say things, man. And then I gotta go back and respectfully say, hey, man, I didn't mean that, man. I'm sorry. And I'm, and I, right,
Like
They
Jesus
believe.
said, you gotta meet them where they're at.
got to meet them where they're at. And as we look at this, James 3:8, I just want you to think about this, man. How do we speak to people? Because that is our witness, right? Whether you're a boss, whether you're whoever you are, a parent, a husband, a wife, a friend, man, how do we speak to them? And it says in 3:8, well, we can look at, let's go to 3:8. But no, man, it talks about the tongue being a little member, but it sets forth on fire, right? And in 3:8, it says right here that, but no man can tame the tongue. It is unruly evil, full of deadly poison. With it we bless our God and Father. With it we curse men who have been made in the similitude of God. And I want you to think about that, man. That I can, in the same breath, man, I can be speaking to you about the Lord, and then you jump on my bench over. I'm like, what are you doing, you idiot, man? Get off of that thing. Didn't you see I was like, hey, man, you think you come to church with me and listen. What are you, man? What is your problem? Right? I mean, I'm telling you, man, I could be in my office studying and praying and talking to the Lord, and then I see something or something. I'm like, Sharon, what are you doing, man? Will you shut it out there so I can study this word? I mean, what? Come on, man. I mean, I'm not the only one speaking that, man. That's not just me. And we're reading off, man, out of the same mouth, right? Proceeds blessings and cursings. Blessings and cursings. My brethren, these things ought not be so. Does a spring send forth fresh water and bitter from the same opening? Can a fig tree, my brethren, bear olives, or grapevines bear figs? Thus no spring yields both salt water and fresh water. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. Right? And you can even bring that further, man, that I'm saying, man, Lord, I trust you and I believe in you. And then something goes on in my life. And then I'm talking over, I just don't know what I'm going to do. And the Lord and you're speaking blessing, you're speaking cursing, you're speaking truth, and you're speaking just deceit. I mean, right? That's where we're at. A workout church. Thanks, my sister. See, blessing and cursing. Listen, when I go on a trip, now this is no joke, man. You know, Sharon lays my clothes out anyway. We all know that. So when I go on a trip and I'm getting on a plane, Sharon lays out my I love Jesus and she says, this is representing Jesus and this is the shirt that I wear. I'm like, I don't care if you want to wear it or not. Read it and wear it. And that's what you're doing. Right? Shouldn't I? It just doesn't come out of the same mouth, man. Okay. That's what, you know. But listen, are we getting better in what we're doing? Are we getting better in what we're doing? So moving forward, okay. So we're gonna start now on this. Here we go, man. So as Ruth is faithfully serving, okay? Ruth is faithfully serving. She is gleaning. She's just doing what she is supposed to be doing, right? Providing for Naomi, following what the Lord is telling her to do, serving the way that she is. God has different plans for her life. God is showing her grace. And what is the definition of grace? Favor undeserved, right? And you're going to see as we get into this, this is the way that Boaz does for Ruth, right? He puts grace in her life. He is the kinsman redeemer, right? He is a representation of Jesus for us. Grace. He shows her grace. The Lord shows us grace, man. How much grace do we show other people and what we're doing? And I want to get into that she is faithful, she is honest, she is dedicated, right? And as you look at what it says here, it says that Boaz recognizes that faithfulness, right? Does anybody recognize faithfulness in our life? Can people look at your life and say, man, that I know that you are a follower of Christ? Not by just what you're saying, but the way that you are living your life, the way that you're doing that. Are you faithful? And that's a question that only you can answer, man. If you talk to people around you, what is if I say, man, what would people say about you? Would they say, well, I want people to say, man, he loves the Lord, man, and he is doing what God has called him to do. It doesn't matter how good people think I am or how, man, I want people to know that I love Jesus, and I want to be a witness everywhere I go. I want to tell people, man, that's what that's about, right? I want to be faithful in that. And that is what Ruth is. And so you look here and it says in verse 5, Boaz says to the servants who was in charge of the reapers, whose young woman is this? Right? He recognizes Ruth. Now, why did he recognize her? Well, probably she was pretty good looking, right? I would think. I think that she was a good looking younger girl. She's different. She's there. But he also, the ones that are in charge, they say, so the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered and said, it is a young Moabite woman. And I want you to get this. Then we're going to get into another kind of off topic for the rest of the session. I love it, man. I love it. It is the reaper answered and said, it is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. And she said, please let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she has came and has continued from morning until now, though she rested a little in the house. What is he saying about Ruth? She's a hard worker. She's faithful in what she's doing. She's served and she really hasn't taken any breaks, man. She's providing for her mother-in-law, right? So that comes into the session, and we're going to talk about this, man. God blesses faithfulness. He blesses our honesty. He blesses our dedication. And are we faithful? That's the question that I want you to ask. Are you faithful doing what God has called you to do? And we're going to get into, and this has been a hot topic lately in our Sons of Thunder and just different groups, man. Your works bases your salvation, your right works and salvation, what I'm doing and based on my salvation. What does my salvation look like? And I just we're going to talk about this, but as we look over here on my faithfulness, I want you to read Matthew 24, and we're going to start on this, Matthew 24, 45 through 51. And I just want you to think about this portion. And this is where Matthew 24, 45 through 51. Okay. And we have here that, the Lord is talking about the faithful servant and the evil servant. You go on, he's talking about the parable of the 10 talents, the wise men and the foolish virgins, and just different things. Nobody knows the day, nobody knows the hour. And so as we look at this, and it says, who then is a faithful and wise servant? Matthew 24, 45. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his master made ruler over his household to give them food in due season? Right? Blessed is that servant whom his master, when he comes, will find so doing. So the master is gone. And I want you to think about our life. And I want you to think about how do we serve the Lord? Do we serve the Lord only when it is convenient, or only when people are seeing us, or are we serving the Lord, whether he is and I'm not going to say present or not, but this is talking about when he is the right visible to what the master is gone. The Lord is gone right now. Right. And I get into this thing on, man, I make a confession of faith. I say that I believe, I say a prayer, and then I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm saved. I'm good. I'm done with that. And I can just go on and live whatever way I want to live. Right. And I don't have to, when I get home, I can go to church on Sunday, and I can go to a connection group, and then I go home, and the rest of the week I can do whatever I want to do, and I can live whatever way I want to live. Right.
Wouldn't it be like, I'm seeing it as like a kid and your parents go on vacation, go home.
Sure.
And they're like, okay, I can either do the right thing and make sure their house is all clean, you know, keep after the pets, or I can have all my friends over and we can get loud and crazy.
That's a great example. You know, and that's why we have the Ring camera.
Yeah.
But that's a great example though. Oh, come back in here, come back in. So it says that when the master comes, he will find so doing. And it says, assuredly, I say to you that he will make him ruler over all his goods. Okay, so you're going to have a blessing for faithfully serving the Lord and doing what he calls you to do. And this is what I wonder, and I want you to think about in whatever terms you want to think about this in your own life. If you look at verse 48, it says, but if that evil servant says in his heart, and I think this is us a lot of times, my master is delayed in his coming. How many times have I thought, man, Lord, my life is you're not doing what I want you to do, and you're not there when I feel like I need you to be there, and you've delayed your coming, and man, where are you at anyway in my life? And I'm just gonna go on and do my own thing. Because I just don't see you blessing in my life. I just don't see you working in my life. You're just not there, man. These things have gone on and I've had hard times and aren't you even there, Lord? And I'm just going to go on and do my own thing. And it says, when he's delayed his coming and begins to beat his fellow servants and to eat and to drink with the drunkards, the master of that servant will come on a day when he is not looking for him and in an hour that he is not aware. Do we realize the Lord is coming back, right? And nobody knows the hour. Nobody knows the time. The prophecy has been fulfilled that he can come back anytime. When that last one makes a decision, right? We don't know, man. It might be today. I don't know when the Lord's coming back, but I know he's coming back. And I know that it's anytime soon, right? What do I want to be found doing when the Lord comes back? I mean, I want to be doing what he calls me to do. I don't want to be like this unfaithful servant that is saying, man, he's not looking for him. He's not aware of him. He will cut him in two and appoint him a portion with the hypocrites. There should be weeping and gnashing of teeth, and thinking about, man, but Lord, I've made a commitment. I've said in my mind and I've said in my mouth and I've confessed you, but I'm not living the life that I'm supposed to be living. Are your words matching up what your faithfulness in your life is showing? That's a great question. Where are we at on that? So then you get into the whole thing on my works versus my salvation, because a lot of people will say that, man, that I do all this work and I serve and I do, and that's what it's about. Right. And then other people will say, man, that I've made a confession and I've said a few things and I've believed and that's good enough there. So where do we fall on that? And I want to just kind of, jeez, man, that's a situation, but let's just start it. So right here, I want to go over here, Proverbs 14:12. Okay. We'll just get a little into this. This is Proverbs 14:12, and this is saying here, and I say this because Ruth was a faithful servant. Ruth was doing what she was called to do. Ruth was serving and was blessed because of that. Are we faithfully doing what we're supposed to be doing? Are we going to be blessed because of that? Or is the Lord going to come and find us not doing what we should be doing? And just speaking words and running our mouth and living a life that is totally different and hypocritical to that. Over here in Proverbs 14:12, it says, there is a way that seems right to man. What is the way that seems right to me? That's all different. But in the end, it's way of death. Does it matter what seems right to me? I want you to think about that, man.
Because a lot of the times what we think's right to us will justify on why we think it's right, but it's.
Oh man, and the end is death. And we're going to go over here, right? We cannot go on, man. I think that I'm living a good life, man. And I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And what about all these other things that you think you're justifying, right? Isn't that what he said today? That you'll justify things in your life. You'll make yourself feel better by whatever it is, man. it isn't about what I'm saying, man. It's about, am I following what the Bible tells me to follow? Right? And so let's look over here. I love this too, Ephesians. Because is it easy to serve God? Is it easy to serve God? Was it easy for Ruth to go out and glean in the fields, bust her tail doing that, man, bringing home, she's a widow, man. She doesn't have any support really. I mean, she's out there doing what she has to do, faithfully serve. That is not easy, man. And we find ourselves at different times in our life where it is not easy. And so you look over here in Ephesians, and we're going to look at 2:8. Okay. And this is talking about your salvation versus your works. For by grace, for what? Grace. You have been saved through faith. That not of yourselves, it is a gift of God, not of works. Okay. It isn't about what I do. Okay. It's about God's grace and God's forgiveness. We're going to go further in this, not of works, lest anyone should boast. Because if I could say that I could do it, right, then it'd be about me. I can't do it, right? That is a humbling thing when I figure out that I can't do it. And I figure out that it is only Christ that came on the cross to save me, right? It says, for we are his workmanship created in Christ Jesus for good works. So we're going to get into the second portion of this. So it is not that I'm not saved by my works and what I do, but my works show that I am saved and my works show who I'm a part of, right? If I'm married to Sharon and I'm married in by professing and saying some words and doing that, and then I go out and I sleep with 10 other women, right? And I go and I do that. Does that really matter? Does it matter what I said to Sharon with words? When I make a profession of Christ and I say, Lord, I love you and I'm serving you and I believe in you and I'm confessing you in my life and I'm understanding that you're the only way to salvation. And then I go out and I do whatever I want to do, then you're not backing up what you said that you believe. Huh? Pretty much a lie. You're pretty much a hypocrite, right? For we are made for good works, right? Which God has prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. That we are all here for a reason. God has prepared for us things that I can do that nobody else can do, right? There's works in my life that I'm supposed to do that God puts in front of me that I'm supposed to follow, right? So let's move further in this. So we are saved by faith, right? But works prove our salvation. Works prove our salvation. And I want to read over in James 2. Works prove our salvation. James 2:14 through 26. What does it profit, my brethren? You gotta hear this, man, and you gotta evaluate your life, right? Evaluating your life. This goes right in what he was saying today in the tithing and giving and doing. It says, what does it profit, my brethren, if someone says he has faith, but does not have works? I love that, man, because a lot of us, we say that. Man, I'm a believer. Well, let me look at your checkbook. But no, you're not going to look at that. Well, let me look at your calendar. No, I'm not. You're not going to look at that. Well, let me look at what you've done this past week. No, I don't want you to see that. Right? It says, but does not have works. Well, if someone says he has faith, but does not have works, can faith save him? If a brother or sister is naked or destitute of daily food, and one of you says to them, depart in peace, be warmed and filled, and you do not give them the things which are needed for the body, what does it profit? Thus also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. Do I want to have a dead faith? Is our faith dead? But someone will say, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith without your works, and I will show you my faith by my works. So what is that? What is that saying to us? What is that saying to us? Anybody?
You gotta talk the talk and walk the walk.
And how do we feel like we do with that? Man, I relate that back to Ruth, because man, what did she tell Naomi? She said, man, I'm going with you. I'm going to serve your God. I'm gonna serve you. I'm gonna live for you. I'm gonna do everything it is. I'm gonna die with you. I'm gonna give up everything that I have to follow you. And that's what she did. And as our life, we look at the course of our life and I think, man, am I getting further closer to God than I can see, man, there's more time in my calendar that I'm spending serving people and teaching and reading and praying and doing than it was before. I'm giving more. I'm right. Evaluating, isn't that what it says, man? You got to evaluate yourself, man. Pick up your cross daily, man. Do what you're supposed to do daily. We can lie. You all can look at me and I'm doing great and I'm a super Christian. Right. And I just look and then, you know what I did to Smith, man? And this is no joke, man. Back in the day before I started coming here, he used to go to the Y, and I know how I am in the Y, man. Right? I'm not. If you're ever going to see the truth about me, go to the gym with me. Anyway, that's beside the point. So I thought, well, man, and I know that Smith would be the same way. So I'm going to go, and I know when he goes over there, and I'm going to go to the Y when he goes to the Y, man, and I'm going to watch him. That's what I did because I thought I want to see what he's really like, man. I want to see his real life, man. And that mug went around and just, I mean, loving people, smiling at people, helping people, getting this, can I do? And I'm like, man, that is real, man. He is real. Then you look at me and I'm over in the corner throwing things and cussing. I'm like, man, where is my life, man? What am I doing? Right? That okay. 1 Corinthians, let me look here. 1 Corinthians 9. 24.
You're a stalker.
No, I don't. And I don't know if I ever even told him that. This would be the last verse we read right here. Okay. He'll know it now. Now he'll find out soon, I'm sure, man, this class. 1 Corinthians 9, okay? And this is the last one we're going to read for today. But 24. Do you know that those who run in a race all run? Okay, those who run in a race all run, but one receives the prize. Now, this is talking to us. Run in such a way that you may obtain it. Everyone who competes for the prize is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a perishable crown. What's it saying? We're running the race. We're doing the things we're doing because I'm trying to get more stuff for myself and more accolades and more esteem, more whatever, man. And I'm just doing that. Therefore, I run thus not with uncertainty. Thus I fight not as one who beats the air. What does that mean, man? What as I used to fight, man, would it do me any good if I'm out there like this dude beating the air? Right? That's what Paul's saying. If we're not doing the things that we're doing for Christ, if we are not just specifically doing the things that we're doing, man, we're just beating the air. We're just doing things for a perishable crown. We're just living a life and doing this. And I've done all this stuff and all this. And then you get up there and in Corinthians, it tells you, man, that there's going to be a match dropped on that. And everything's going to burn up, man. And all this big pile of stuff that I think I've accumulated, man, I've done all this for you, Lord. And don't you see? And he's going to drop that match. I'm going to have like a little nothing, right? Just a twitch down there. And he's like, no, that's what you really did for me. All this other stuff you did for yourself and you did for your pride and and it says that quit working like you're beating the air, but I discipline my body and bring it into subjection, lest when I preach to others, I myself should become disqualified. Does it take discipline to be faithful? Yes. Does it take discipline to say, man, I am going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to read my Bible and pray. And I'm going to spend time on that. Does it take discipline to say, man, I'm not going to buy this new this or this because I'm going to give to the Lord. And I don't really need this. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to, instead of buying this for me, man, I'm going to go out and I'm going to help somebody else. I'm going to give my time. Right? That's what he said, man. I discipline my body. I discipline my life. We cannot go out. We have to be intentional with what we do. Ruth was intentional with what she did. Right? Am I intentional in the way that I live my life? man, you don't raise your kids in an unintentional way. I don't work my job in an unintentional way, man. I don't go to the gym in an unintentional way. But I live my Christian life just, oh, if I have time to read, I'll read. If I have time to give, I'll give. If I have time to go, I'll go. And it's unintentional, man. And it says that in the end, he says, lest I have preached to others, I've spoken to you, you've spoken to me, that I myself become disqualified. Then you realize, man, all this stuff that I've spoken to you, then I myself am disqualified. It didn't take root in my life, man. And I'm the one standing out going, Lord, what about me? And he said, man, depart, for I never knew you, man. And I'm just trying to tell you, man, evaluate your life and how you're doing, man. And I look at Ruth, and that's what she did, right? She was evaluating her life. So we're going to see next week, God sees her, right? Boaz sees her, just like God sees us, right? And what that looks like, even in our hard times, man, God has a plan for your life. And that's what I want you to know. So this week, go out and do something for the Lord. Evaluate your life and see what it is that you are doing for Christ versus what you're doing for yourself. Make it intentional.
Yeah, what I was thinking about is, I think the sad thing and the audacious thing for us is that we think we can accept Christ and then we have to choice. Pick and choose what we do. We pick and choose.
Said you can accept Christ and then you have a choice on what you can do and what you don't
What
do.
you can do, what you don't do, what you believe, what you don't want to believe. That's not the way it works. Like Smith was saying this morning, you don't have to give your money, just don't call yourself a Christian. And so, that's not the way it works. We feel God's gonna love him, honor him, serve him, we're gonna choose him. Well, then, okay, that comes with obligations on our part.
That's right. And don't get in the mindset that, man, because some of us take that, well, I'm doing this, and I'm doing, well, man, I'm on the parking team, and I'm on the setup team, and I'm coming to this group, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this. And then I start justifying myself by what I'm doing. Right?
Put it on the scale against what other people are
And you
doing.
put it on a scale against what other people are doing.
One that can justify you.
There's only one, it does not matter what you're doing compared to what I'm doing, man. The Lord has given, right? Go ahead.
One quick story before you leave. A very wicked tongue doesn't settle well with me, okay? Just a condescending tongue. And so when Mark and I first started dating, we were just very new into this. And we were meeting each other halfway, and it was in the Lincolnton Lowe's hardware parking lot. And so we were going to go to dinner. He said, do you mind if I treat this call? And I said, no. Not knowing it would be about 40 minutes later. So he's in computer work. And this lady had called him at dinner time. And you could tell that she was as dumb as I was on the computer. Literally. Okay, so, and I'll let you click this. He did this for 40 minutes. I never said a word. Okay, I'm thinking, I'm just going to see how he handles this. But the bigger thing was, what is he going to say when he gets off the phone?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I talk to this lady all the time. You'd think she'd get her a book. You'd think she, that's what I'm used to hearing, He got off the phone and he said, I just hope that she can just grasp what we talk about and she can get her problems taken care of. Now, where is it that we want to go eat? And I thought, you know
Wow.
what?
Yeah.
This is the man that
Right.
might be for me.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm just saying.
Might be at that point.
Right. I've got, but I'm just saying, our tongues can be so condescending about just anything.
And you talk about gossip, right? Are we living the life that we say that we are living?
Glad you didn't hear me the next day.
All right. I'm gonna pray and then we'll